Welcome to the Passionate Pioneer podcast. Hi, I'm Beth, and I'm passionate about supporting women who are feeling disillusioned and disappointed with their career and showing them what is possible when you follow your passion. Having your voice heard, finding your tribe of like minds, and being able to get support is so important when you don't know where to turn or who to talk to. I transformed my life from the corporate world to the coaching world, and I now empower women to follow my example and claim the freedom of choice to follow their heart, soul, and passion. So let's get started. Hi, today I am joined by Julie Elves. Julie is an entrepreneur and she is the owner of the Fearless Lioness Specialist, the Fearless Lioness Specialist. So welcome, Julie.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for having me, Beth. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Yeah, great that you reached out to me to be on the podcast. I'm thrilled at the amount of women that have actually reached out to me to be on the podcast. It's very exciting. I'm very excited about it. It's a new project for me, and I'm looking forward to hearing all the unique stories, because there's lots of overlaps with women that were still in careers or already left their careers. There's lots of overlapping stories, but also some unique stories. So I'm looking forward to hearing about yours. So tell me about, you obviously transitioned out of your career. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. Well, just to give you a brief overview, I went from rat race to self-employed, and that started as an employee and very, very much ingrained in the 9 to 5. And then I went into contractor, then entrepreneurial English teacher, and now I'm a transformation coach. I've had 6 careers in total.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds like me. It's funny when you go into a career, you change so many times.
Yeah. Yes. No moss grows on this rolling stone.
That's correct. Yeah, the rolling stone gathers no moss, right? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So how were you feeling? So tell us about, what industry were you working in?
Oh, engineering. It's always been engineering.
Okay.
In the UK, because I'm in Italy now, in the UK it was all about engineering.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what made you decide to go into engineering?
Because I had that logical brain and I have a lot of masculine energy and I had these amazing talents for fixing things and wanting to know how things worked. And I wanted to be a programmer at first, but somebody unfortunately dropped a bombshell on me, and I decided I didn't want to work with the idiot user. Yeah,
right.
ID10T, the idiot user.
Right.
As they call it in the industry. And I thought, oh dear, I need to be, instead of sitting at the computer typing, I need to be building them, and I need a screwdriver in my hand, which would be ideal.
Right.
So I asked somebody, a third engineer at my dad's company, what do you suggest I do? Oh, you need to be studying electrical and electronic engineering, and that's a mouthful.
Wow.
So I spent 8 years at university trying to get my bachelor's degree. That's a long time.
8 years, that's a very long time. I spent 4 years. That was enough for me.
I know.
So then what happened? How was your career in engineering?
Yeah, my very first job had engineer in the title because it was graduate electronic engineer. But really, I unfortunately got put in a position where I was the only female. I was trying to break through as a female engineer, trying to prove myself. And I was being observed for the first 6 months of working for this company, and I was working for a Kenyan guy, a manager for the R&D department, who was really bragging about his 2 PhDs.
Oh, right.
And he could see that I had a talent for persuading people on the phone to get free samples. It was always about free samples with him.
Right.
And I also had a talent for creating really impactful presentations. I always did his presentations for him.
Right.
And then I got really involved in doing animations on PowerPoint. And
wow.
that actually sparked the interest of a lady who used to pop in and out of the office to see him. And she offered me a job in her department later on during a company get-together team building day. But this guy treated me like a glorified secretary.
Right.
So do little, I know I was a graduate engineer, but I could have been doing more important stuff and learning more on the job than dashing out at lunch to get his sandwiches,
Yeah. So basically, they pigeonholed you in a very masculine industry.
Oh yes.
And they just did you feel used and abused?
Yeah, they all look down their nose at me like, you're not going to make it. No, you haven't got what it takes, kind of thing,
And until you start believing them, right?
Well, I was still vulnerable, I guess, and eager to learn. And I was taking on board what everybody was saying and thinking it was all true. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But then I was plucked from obscurity at a company event, standing in line for the buffet. And this lady said, I've seen what you can do and what you're capable of. I'm setting up a new department called user education, and I'd love you to get on board as a computer-based training author.
Wow. So you were plucked away from the masculine by a woman, yes?
Yes.
Who saw the potential, who saw your potential. Very good.
Yes. And she was very much like me because she also has a lot of masculine energy. She worked in the army, and she could see that I was just dying in that department and not being treated as I should be treated. So she set up an all-women team.
Wow.
Department, the three of us.
Nice.
And we were phenomenal together, the three of us. The rapport was amazing. So I became an e-learning pioneer back then. That was in 2000.
Love that word, pioneer, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Love it. So then what happened? So you were working with her in this all-female team.
Yes.
And then how long were you in that position until you started to become a bit disillusioned with it all?
I wasn't so much disillusioned with it. The job was great, but the company was kind of crumbling. So I thought I'd better get out before the ship sinks.
Right.
And I also thought, I've got this stepping stone, let's look at moving into multimedia author, which was another new title they'd come up with back then. And I tried to get this job, and unfortunately I didn't get the job, and I made a crucial mistake, which I've never made again. And that was I resigned before I got the contract for the new job. So I ended up unemployed, actually.
Right. Fatal mistake.
Fatal mistake, yes. But it gave me time to assess where I wanted to go, and I got into being a technical author, which is now big now. Technical writing, technical authoring.
Right.
Is the new job title in engineering. And while it can be a boring kind of work, there are aspects to it that are really interesting with the animation and the graphics, which is what I love to do. I thought this is the avenue I need to go to. And then I did some research, and I saw that the salaries are great because nobody really wants to be writing instruction manuals, but I had a gift for it, talent. And also the difference in pay scale between male and female wasn't that great compared to other jobs, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, okay, let's try this out. Let's suck it and see, yeah.
Right.
So I went into that. I went that direction.
Okay. So would you say that that was you'd sort of found your passion was the sort of creative writing?
Yes, not just the creative writing as such, but being creative with these user manuals and guides, but also I saw myself as an interpreter and translator
Right.
and expressing uh, instructions in a way that the layman can understand, the operator could understand technical speak. Yeah. And so in a way, I didn't realize it back then. I was a teacher. I was a trainer.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And I didn't realize, now looking back, I've always wanted to teach and always wanted to help people understand better. Yeah. So it was ideal for me to be doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I've worked for some very large blue chip companies, I have to say, in the UK. And each one, a lot of them, you know, they just treat you like you're a number or you're just a bum on the seat.
Yeah, correct. That's the problem with the large corporations, is that you do tend to be just a number, right?
Yeah, you're clocking in, you're clocking out, and thinking, this is not.
And it's all about the figures, isn't it? It's all about the bottom line, the bottom dollar at the end of the day. I just had another podcast chat with an old friend of mine, and she was the same. She left because it was just crunching numbers all the time, and she'd got no joy. There was no passion, no joy. And she and her passion is she's a horticulturist. And her journey was fascinating, but she got out for the same reason. She was just feeling, you know, crunching numbers was just, there's no joy in that, is there? You know, it's very masculine, isn't it? Just to, you know, if you wanted to be an accountant, you would have signed up to be an accountant, right? Or a data analysis.
Correct, yes. But also the clocking in and the clocking out and the time watching. I'm thinking there's got to be more to life than this.
Yeah.
Constantly being watched, constantly being monitored.
Yeah. So you see, I mean, I talk about these points of time of, you know, when you sort of you've come to a realization, oh, there's more to life than this, as a spiritual turning point. And most people would say, oh, spirituality, that's just a bit woo. But it's actually, it's just, you know, spirituality encompasses wellness.
Yes.
It's all to do with how you're feeling in your mind, your body, your soul. And when you've just no joy anymore.
Oh, yes.
You know, and you're just clocking in, clocking out, you're going home, you're going back. It's you feel like the rat race, like you called it. But
your soul is dying.
Yeah.
And that's really detrimental to the whole body.
Absolutely, you know? Absolutely. What do you think was your biggest disappointment professionally? If you could just pinpoint one thing of many, what was the biggest?
The biggest disappointment that I still remember is working, I think it was I think it was like a 22-hour shift. And I was desperate to get out my online help version 1. I was working on an online help for the graphic design package they were creating. And I was in Nottingham at the time, and I was going into hospital the next day, and I needed to get this work done because I was going to be out of action for 2 weeks, and I knew they wanted it.
Right.
So I really, really pulled out all the stops to work and get it done, and I did. Even the security guard was worried about me. You know, he kept popping in and checking in on me because I was the only one in the building, you know.
Right. Wow.
And I did it, and I thought, oh, what a relief. Oh, and then I was expecting a couple of, you know, well done. You really, really proved yourself. You really went the extra mile. no. All they did was critique my work and pull it apart when I got back. And I thought,
Right.
okay, never again are you going to do that. There must be some work out there that's much more fulfilling than this.
Yeah, it's like putting all your passion into something and getting little reward or no reward.
Yeah. Well, at the time, it was my baby. That was my baby.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So you decided you wanted to create something for yourself instead of creating it for
Yes,
another company, right? Or a company.
yes. But I had a lot of fears back then. And so that's why I took a stepping stone between jumping into entrepreneurship and
Right.
into contracting, because I was surrounded in one of my last company I worked for is a big, large international company in England, and they they hired a lot of contractors, and I was surrounded by these contractors, and they didn't seem to have the stress and strain that I did of clocking in and out every day, and the burden of being the only female in the documentation department,
Right.
having to work with all the men, which I didn't mind working with all the men, but just having so much responsibility and work and not getting the appreciation, for all of it. And
Yeah.
they seemed to have a bounce in their step every morning, like they didn't have a care in the world most of the time. I was just feeling really heavy all the time, yeah. Like
Right.
the weight of the world was on my shoulders.
They put a lot of pressure on you. That's
Yeah.
how I felt in my career. Both my bosses were men in my last corporate job, and I felt that I was expected to lead by example, whereas other department heads were just
Yeah.
getting away with murder, and
Yeah.
just doing what they wanted to do. And yet, if I stepped out of line, I'd be straight in the office, being hauled over the coals. And I thought, hold on a minute, I don't mind leading by example because that's the way I lead my life. I lead by example, but you can't expect the other heads of department to be different standards. Different standards for different
them and us
different
scenario.
strokes for different folks, right?
Yeah.
Not so good. But yes, I do find when talking about your entrepreneurship is that most of the entrepreneurs I know are a Generation X, which is women in their 40s and early 50s. And I also talk to a lot of millennials as well who are in their 30s who are also disillusioned with their career. But I do find that the Generation X, our generation, are the ones that are sort of leading the front at the moment.
Yes.
Trying to encourage and inspire, the younger generation to don't have to stay in your career, right?
Yes.
Follow your passion. Stop being strangled and put into a box.
Yeah. We are definitely the pioneers for this new female empowerment movement that's happening on the planet.
Yeah. I do feel it, Julie, and I think that you're one of them. It's funny actually because when you reached out to me, you live in Italy as well. So you moved from England to Italy. In fact, I used to live on the other side of the world in the Caribbean, but I relocated to Europe about 7 years ago. And I lived in Spain and now I live in Italy. But it's funny that, the women that I've spoken to, they've all done something that's pioneering, something that's very out of your comfort zone, but it feels right in your body.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It feels healthy.
In my 9 to 5 work life, I had hit a glass ceiling, even after only 14 years of being a technical writer in that industry, that niche of engineering. And I was changing my job. If it wasn't 6 months, it was 2 years. Every 2 years, I was changing my job in order to get training, in order to better myself, in order to increase my salary. Because I don't know if you know, in the UK, there's a lot of competition going on. It's so stressful.
Right. I haven't actually lived or worked in the UK for 25 years.
Right.
So
Okay.
I don't know, but I
Well,
just have my experience from years ago in the UK, which wasn't great. It was one of the reasons why I left, and then moving and traveling, but still experiencing the same type of corporate crap that, that all women that I've spoken to are experiencing, to be honest.
Yes. So I hit a glass ceiling despite being one of very few women in the UK who have signed the UK's official Secrets Act 3 times.
Wow.
The projects I've worked on have been really secret.
Right, highly classified, yeah.
It's quite an accolade. I don't tell many people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even with that accolade, I didn't feel fulfilled. There was my soul was screaming out, "You can do more. You're so powerful. You can do more."
Yeah, absolutely. I totally understand you, that your soul was dying. That's exactly how I would express it. It's not about money. It's not about it's about something more than money, more than it's the bigger picture, isn't it? There's something that you want to be an inspiration, and when you're being pigeonholed and put into a box and not recognized, and I don't mean that we want to be patted on the back every day and given a promotion and every day, and not because we're the generation that doesn't expect that, but but to be completely ignored and overworked and overlooked and put in a box, just you do get to a glass ceiling, don't you? Just get to it where you've just had enough. And there comes a point where you just snap, and I just call that I call that a spiritual turning point, where you just your soul is dying, your body needs something new. You're not happy, you're just going through the motions, and there's no joy and no passion.
And that happened to me here in Italy. So I came to Italy, and that is a funny story, but I was trying to get a job in Cambridge on the science park, and the recruitment guy said, "Oh, your application's still going through, but have you heard about this job in Italy, Genoa?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I read about it. I think I'm underqualified. I'm underqualified." And he says, "No, you're overqualified. Shall I set up a call with you, half an hour call with the documentation manager?" The company was the competitor of the company I was working for.
Right. So I had out of the frying pan into the fire, right?
Yeah, kind of. Doing slightly different. They're both engineering companies, but this was a different division. And half an hour later, I got the job. Two weeks later, I'm on the plane here with my bicycle bubble wrapped and my suitcases and everything.
Right.
I've been here a long time now, but I was meant to be here because I've instigated a lot of change in the Italians' way of thinking about foreigners, right?
Yes. I've experienced that. I experienced it in Spain. I experienced it in the Caribbean, and I've experienced it in Italy. So I understand about red tape and the paperwork that's involved. But yeah, so I also say it's about following the breadcrumbs, and the breadcrumbs is just like Hansel and Gretel followed the breadcrumbs. I mean, they went straight into the fire, but it's about following the breadcrumbs to your passion. So it's just putting one step in front of the other, isn't it, Julie? So, it's like, well, I'm not happy here. So what do I want? So you have to do some soul searching. You have to say, what do I really want? Well, I know what I don't want. Sometimes we have to experience what we don't want.
Oh, yes.
In order to realize what we do want and what's important and what's our values and our beliefs, and how can we be authentic and feel better. And unfortunately, the masculine world is very much about service to self.
Yes.
And we're sort of moving now as a collective, really, in the world. We're moving into service to others. And that's where really you can take your passion and really make it your purpose, and to support others and lead the way and lead by example.
Yeah.
So tell me about the change then. So you moved out of the frying pan into the fire, and then into the Italian way of life. But now you're different. Now you've moved, because now you are into this, you're an entrepreneur, you know, the fearless lioness specialist.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that journey and the breadcrumbs you followed to get there.
Oh, well, I'm only a coach really because of where I live. I've been coaching unofficially for 12 years. No, 11 years. I forget now how long I've been here. For at least 12 years, but officially only about 2 years. But I'm making an impact. So I know I've impacted a lot of women here. There's a lot of fear in this country. There's a lot of confusion, and I've been slowly planting seeds in their minds, helping them change their very fixed mentality or mindset to growth mentality mindset.
Right.
Open up. Especially in the region where I live, they're very close-minded here. So I thought, well, after this job with this engineering company, the contract ended because they were downsizing. I took a year and a half off, and I blew all my savings, created all the travel memories I could ever want for the next 10, 20 years. Yeah, because you need the travel bug, you need the money, and you need the time, right?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I took 41 flights in 1 year, spent a fortune.
Oh my God, that's
a
lot.
Yes. And I had to get it out my system, you know? And then I decided, people were telling me, but you're great at the English language and speaking it, and everybody gravitates towards me because I have a nice British accent.
Yes. I get that too. Yes.
The way that I speak is international English, and they really understand that a lot. So they were coaxing me. My friends at the time were coaxing me to become an English teacher. And I thought, yeah, why not? It's teaching, it's training, it's helping people. English is not just a language for learning to speak. It's for business, it's for life, it's for everything.
Well, it's the language that binds business. It's the number one language in the world, and it's the language that binds business, because, you know, when two different countries want to speak to each other, they don't speak the language. They always speak English in business.
Yes.
Fascinating, right?
But there's also so much more information available in English. It's not just the language. You're opening so many doors for yourself. You learn it. And so this is what I've stepped into as a private English teacher.
Yeah, and that's what we have in common, isn't it, Julie? Because that's the breadcrumbs I followed when I left the corporate world. I jumped into English language teaching, retrained as a teacher, and then followed those steps, which eventually brought me to Italy. I used to teach in schools in Spain, and then now in Italy I teach online, and then I also while building my business.
Yes.
So I'm following my passion. So, you know, so I just want to reassure the women that are, you know, feeling frustrated and annoyed and pigeonholed and overlooked, undermined, underpaid, undervalued in their job, that they don't have to immediately jump out of it.
Yeah.
You know, you can actually start following your passion. You can start it as a hobby, actually, right?
Yes.
You can start it as a side thing, just on weekends.
Side hustle, yes.
And slowly move into it. And that's what my passion programs I do, Julie. And that's, I inspire women. I give them the courage and the inspiration to discover what's their passion, so they can do it faster than we did, you know. Exactly. So they can get through, they can follow the breadcrumbs faster. But they can start it while they're still in their job, but they can start moving towards their passion and purpose while they're still working. So the transition is easier.
Yes. It's funny how we live in this 21st century. People are so impatient that selling a shortcut, which is exactly what we are selling, a program that gives you the shortcut.
Yeah.
It's big business now, isn't it?
It is, yes. And I mean, there is no easy way. I mean, it takes time, you know, and it's, our bodies feel, you know, with change, you know, your body goes into shock. Your body goes into shock with grief. Your body goes into shock when you make a big change, like you relocate, you move house, or you move to another country, or you change jobs, or you decide to quit something to follow your passion. Your body goes into some sort of shock.
Yes.
And so you have to have somebody, a mentor, friend, coach, somebody that can support you in making the transition, right?
Yes.
And that's where you and I try and inspire and encourage and people to give people their authentic voice.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. And the courage to have a voice.
Yeah, it's crucial to find your support network that suits you, that resonates with you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Find your tribe, I call it.
Yes, find your tribe.
And the general saying is your vibe attracts your tribe, which is your vibration for people that don't know what vibe is, but I'm sure everybody knows by now that your vibe is, your vibe attracts your tribe. But it's definitely find your tribe, because, I did find that when I made big transitions in my life, tell me if you had the same, there were people in my life that were more scared than I was. That said, oh my God, that's ridiculous. You can't do that. That's crazy. You're stupid. The negative Nellies, as I call them. Yeah. And then there were other people that were on my side that were like, yeah, go for it. How amazing. Wow. Did you experience the same?
Yes, I did. The naysayers. And then in the end, I decided, okay, I'm not going to tell you anything else about what I'm doing. You just have to follow me.
Right. Yeah. You've always cut them off, right?
Yeah, watch and learn,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like follow. I always just say, put your money where your mouth is, just lead by example. Don't just talk about it, do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Walk the talk.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, definitely.
So what do you think motivates you? What do you think really motivated you to do this, to be an entrepreneur, and to step into this line of work?
Well, going back to seeing those contractors every morning and seeing how they were light on their feet, they were happy-go-lucky, they were having a good laugh and a joke, and they just seemed on a different level than I was at. And I wanted to be at that level, and I was so disheartened with the job I was doing, and I didn't have that much control over my work life. And I assumed that they had so much more control that I wanted to be like them. I had a lot of fears back then, though, that I was really struggling with. Like, you haven't been doing your job for very long. So who are you? Imposter syndrome. Who are you?
Imposter syndrome, right? Yes.
Who are you to be wearing the contractor hat? And you're only in your 30s, yeah? Mid-30s. How can you become a contractor? All the contractors are over 50, at least.
Right.
So how can you call yourself a contractor? You're not experienced enough.
Right.
No.
Which we know is, which we understand is so untrue. It's just someone else's story.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And then I thought, no, Julie, you've changed jobs so many times. You've got so many experiences. You've worked with so many different people. You've tolerated some really bad people. You've had lots of excitement working for so many different people. That's why I kept changing jobs, basically.
Right. I was headhunted a few times, so that was quite an accolade for me to be headhunted. It was nice, but it was headhunted out of the fire into the frying, out the frying pan into the fire. It was just a sidestep. I mean, it was a step up in my career, as I'm sure when you changed yours, you stepped up every time, right? But because that's why we change. But yes, it's I mean, you had the secret. What was it? Secret documents. The
Official Secrets Act. Yes,
Official Secrets Act. That's it, that you had to sign.
Yes.
That's a big accolade, isn't it, for a woman in her 30s, right?
Yes. Yeah, but this contractor status was a huge label for me. Had so much prestige and kudos around it that I wanted that. That was my dream, to have this contractor title.
Right.
So I went for it.
Until it wasn't.
Yes, but then I thought, okay, you've had a taste of entrepreneurship. Let's go the full hog,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just that's definitely about jumping in, isn't it? It's just, and it's the safety, isn't it? You've got, we all have fears. Everybody has fears. And the thing is, I've talked about this before, and I'm sure you've talked to your clients as well, is that, we can't ignore fear.
Oh
You've
no.
got to just embrace it. You've got to say, okay, fear, I see you.
Mm-hmm.
I see you, but I'm going to go and do it anyway.
Yes. Could I share with you my new acronym for fear?
Yes, do it, because I know the old acronym. So tell me.
There are three acronyms. I'll just quickly go through them for your audience.
Yeah.
So forget everything and run. That's the negative one. The
Yes,
positive
know that one.
face everything and rise.
Yeah, I know that one.
The neutral one, false evidence appearing real. Yes. And then there's my one. So I'm all about lioness and the lion and the pride. I have a
Right.
pride, lionesses. So mine is feel excited and roar.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I've just got tingles. I've just got goosebumps. Honestly, I just got goosebumps. I love
And
goosebumps. I love it.
roar is another acronym. Roar means resilient, optimistic, adaptable, and resourceful.
Wow. And you do need all of those as an entrepreneur, don't you?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, you really do. Yeah, I love those. I know about the other acronyms, but I'm really excited that you've made
Yeah.
your own acronym for it. Fantastic.
You need to trademark
Fantastic.
that. You heard that first on this show.
Well, you've got to trademark it. That's right. Trademark that. And I like the roar as well. Very good.
Yeah.
So tell me, when you stepped into entrepreneurship, just to wrap up this chat, when you stepped into entrepreneurship, were there any, and you had to get away from or acknowledge the fear and do it anyway?
Yeah.
Did you have any people who influenced or inspired you to take the leap of faith?
Yes. Well, mainly my support network, who were, especially the transition from not having a job to getting into a new career of teaching.
Right.
My support network were really, really instrumental in boosting my confidence, so much so that I stepped out there as a private English teacher at first on my own, totally nervous. And I charged peanuts for a lady who could afford 3 times what I was charging.
Right.
And her apartment was ceiling, floor to ceiling in white marble. And she worked Banca Italia.
Right.
But I did it, and I thought, okay, that's one lesson gone. And they really motivated me, and I'm grateful that they could see the potential in me that I couldn't see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was fixated on, oh, they're not going to appreciate that I'm an English teacher, I'm native because I look Oriental.
Right.
And it's going to be a huge mountain I have to climb. But I found that there are people who can look past what you look like and see that you have a talent, you have a skill, yeah, and you have great knowledge and wisdom that they want.
It's just another story we tell ourselves, isn't it, Julie? We're not good enough. We're not smart enough. We look different. We think differently. We're going to fail. It's just stories, aren't they? They're just stories until you step through the fear.
Yes.
And come out the other side. Then I think sometimes most people are afraid of failure. What happens? What if I fail? What if you succeed? What if you find the joy? Yes. What if you find the freedom?
Yes.
Right. What if you're your own boss and you can do whatever you want? You set your own hours. You're doing something that you love. When you're doing something that you love, it doesn't feel like work. Right.
Yeah, exactly. You leap out of bed.
It's not the clocking in and clocking out, is it? You know, when I'm working and creating stuff, creating new projects or something like this, the Passionate Pioneer podcast, you know, it's just time just flies. I'm just working, doing things, talking, and I'm like, oh, that's 4 hours just disappeared, right? You just sort of go into it and you just get that creative flow, and it's amazing.
Could I share a massive gold nugget with your audience?
I would love you to do that. Go on.
Okay, so imagine that you're skydiving. I don't know about you, but it's something I would not do. Not because I'm scared, but because I don't like the feeling of falling like a stone. But if you ever go skydiving or you've seen skydiving pictures, especially when somebody's gone for the first time, they look absolutely terrified, strapped to the instructor doing a tandem, right? And then you've got the pictures as they're floating on the currents, and they're looking down from 30,000 feet, and they're realizing how beautiful the earth is. And then they land, and they've got this massive grin from ear to ear. None of them are scared. None of them are thinking how terrified they were before they jumped out of that plane.
Yeah.
And what you need to do in just using that as an analogy is understand that your body has exactly the same reaction when you're excited as it does when you're scared.
Correct.
So all you've got to do is to find the switch in here.
Yeah.
Switch from fear to excited.
Yeah.
So that's where my acronym comes in. Feel excited and roar and jump out of that plane.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? But that's why it's really important to find your tribe, find friends that are on your side that are positive, find mentors, find coaches, workshops, courses. There's so many things online that are free as well to get the support, the self-help books that are out there. You know, find what works for you. To help you to push through that fear, and it's the same chemical that's released in your brain from from feeling excited or feeling scared out your mind. It's the same chemicals that are released. It's endorphins, isn't it? Endorphins that release, or is it serotonin?
Serotonin, I think.
Serotonin. Well, it's endorphins that are but it's serotonin, isn't it? That
it's been backed by the Harvard Medical and the Harvard Business School, that this reframing performance anxiety. And even people like Tony Robbins, not so long ago, he admitted that he suffers from this fear before he gets on stage in front of tens of thousands of people.
Yeah. And it's part of being human. We're all scared. Don't think you can look at successful actors, actresses, singers, business owners, entrepreneurs, male and female. Don't think for 1 second that they're not scared out their pants sometimes when they take these big, leaps of faith and they create new things, because what if it fails? But the thing is, if you've never failed, you've never tried. You've got to take risks in this life, or life becomes very boring, and you end up living your life in someone else's story, which is what happens when you're working in a corporate world, because you're living someone else's story and you're just going through the motions, and that's when you lose your joy and your passion.
Yes, you're so true. Yeah.
So final question for you, Julie. What advice would you have for your younger 25-year-old self?
25, okay. All right, so I've been on a massive identity journey due to me being abandoned by my biological parents at a very early age in Hong Kong. It's been my mission and deep passion to find myself and really understand what kind of impact I can make on the world, right? And what kind of legacy I can leave. Everybody talks about legacy now.
Right.
I want to leave behind. So if you want to find your passion, then you need to find your purpose and your why.
Why is really
around those, you get excited. Once you're excited, you're motivated, and the confidence comes with the excitement and motivation. And that's what drives you forward. Obviously focusing on the big dream as well that you have. on making such an impact on the world. But find your purpose and why.
Yeah, definitely find your why. I think I believe if you're following your passion, something you love to do, it leads you to the purpose automatically. Right. But yes, the why is definitely, find your why, find out what you don't want and concentrate on what you do want. And again, it's just about following the breadcrumbs. You cannot go from A to Z overnight. It doesn't happen. You've got to put one foot in front of the other. Exactly. Follow what feels right to you. Mm-hmm. Definitely find your tribe and find support.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Lovely. Great. Wonderful to chat with you, Julie. What a great conversation we've had today. And I hope that we offered some words of wisdom to our listeners. Thanks again.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for listening today. If you would like to join me in telling your story about how you are quietly quitting your career and how you've got 1 foot out of the 9-to-5 rat race, or if you are a woman who has a story about already leaving the professional world to follow your passion and can offer inspiring advice, then please message me to get yourself booked in on an episode just for you. If you have a question for me or would like to know more information about how I can support you in one of my passion programs, please message me on Instagram, Facebook, or visit my website. You can also grab your free copy of my workbook, Your Passion Journey Starts Here, by joining my online community. And don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy this podcast and share it with your friends. Until next time, this is Beth Taylor at the Passionate Pioneer Podcast, signing off.